Shalom. So, in this video, we're going to talk about the importance or the purpose of prayer. We're going to talk about when to pray, and when to pray depends on also what you're praying for or what you're praying against. The source of power when dealing with prayer. We're going to talk about manifestation of prayer or manifesting prayer. We're also going to talk about there's one source of power, but there are different bodies. It's just like there's one source of light, but it emanates many different lights. So let's first start with the importance of prayer. What is the purpose of prayer? Why do you pray? Most of us were taught that we should pray when we're in need. You want a house, you want a car, you want a relationship, you want whatever. Once you lack something, that's the time you pray. But that takes away from the purpose of prayer or the importance of prayer, because the purpose of praying was not about those things. You pray as a means of doing what? Creating an attachment or relationship or a bond with the Father. So why would you speak to this person 3 times for the day? You're building a relationship just like physical people in your life. Why do you always want to have conversations with this person? You're creating a relationship, you're creating an attachment. So it's the same with the Most High. It has nothing to do with whether you want to thank him for something he did, even if it's just waking you up, or you want to ask him for something that you want in your life. You pray essentially to communicate or build and maintain a relationship with him. That's the ultimate purpose. So you wake up in the mornings, you get a glass of water, you tap into your water element, and the first words you utter is prayer. You create a relationship. Now, another important purpose of praying is judgment, because we have to examine ourselves, we have to judge ourselves. A lot of us when it comes on to certain things, we want to take judgment out the equation. I don't know where this mentality came from, but you cannot have morality without judgment. Once there's morality, the laws of the morality itself carries a judgment. This is why people always say, oh, you can't judge me, I don't judge me, I don't this. No, the people are not judging you. The morality itself is what contains the judgment. The reason why you can do something wrong and nobody knows about it, but you can still feel a sense of guilt, is because the morality itself is judging you. Your conscience is not clear. The conscience is not pure, even though no one else knows about it. Who is judging you why you feel so guilty? The morality itself. So you go to the Most High and you bring your case to him. Okay, this is what the situation is, this is what I did, and you allow him to judge you. But dealing with the judgment is, you don't want to be judged by the punishment you deserve. You want to be judged according to the tender mercies of Yahweh. So you're gonna ask, judge me according to thy tender loving mercies. Don't judge me according, yes, I did this and this was what the law says, but do not judge me according to the judgment, but judge me according to your mercies. And each time you go out there, you try to be a better person. You don't try to walk back in the same ways as you were walking before. You want to be walking in a new man, in a new spirit, with a renewed mind, a clear conscience. So you cannot be asking the Most High to judge you for this, but every day you're doing the same thing. Then no, you're being intentionally or willfully wicked. So you pray also to deal with judgment. So that's how you confess your faults to the Most High. And you take it to Him in prayer. You ask Him to rule over the case. You ask Him to judge. Now, prayer is also prayer is also a house in itself. It's a house of prayer. And when you enter into that, you're offering your service. You serve within that house. So some people are under the concept of grace, and they're using the grace as a license to not serve the Most High. Not serving the Most High meaning go against the laws. Oh, the law is done away with, and so forth. The law should be used lawfully. So you don't use grace to give you reasons to sin. You use grace as a means to continue to walk in truth. Walk in the path that the Most High set. So you continue serving Him by keeping His commandments, keeping His laws. So you no longer walk in the ways of the flesh, because the flesh walk contrary to the laws. No, you're walking in the Spirit. So naturally, you're walking in spirit and you're walking in truth. So naturally, you're going to be walking in the ways of the laws. So now let's deal with when to pray. Like I said, when to pray depends on what you're praying for. Now, I recently did a video saying praying can also open up demonic portals, which a lot of people do not understand. Praying is not a joke thing when you're praying against. So, for example, if you're praying against the spirits of the waters, any form of unclean entities or covenants, what we call it, covenants with the marine kingdom, or anything pertaining to that, you want to pray at midnight. So this is why when to pray depends on what you're praying for or against. No, there are different levels of prayer. These you have certain hours that if you're not a watcher, then those hours are not for you to pray. Don't just jump with a group of people because they say, oh, they're gonna pray at this hour tonight or that hour. You are going against territories. And if you don't have the spiritual power to withstand the powers of those entities, you might be calling, you might be declaring a serious war on yourself, a serious war on the people close to you, close around you, your family, your wife, your husband, your children. It's not something you play with. So you're going to war against the kingdom of darkness. 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, those are hours that you pray against those things. You're praying against territories. Like, for example, Chicago. I'm using Chicago based on things I heard about Chicago, like in terms of crime and drugs and so forth. That's a whole territory, and those territories belong to wizards and witches and those type of people. So when you get together with your group of spiritual warfare people, prayer warriors, right? When you go declare war on them, you kick them out of that territory spiritually. You might not know. You think you're just praying. No, you are at war. You are at war with territories, realms. So when you kick them from out of that territory, what do you think about their chief, principalities or dominions? Because all of them have a chief over them, have dominion ruling over them. Those are thrones. So those thrones are going to be coming for you. And you better be strong enough to withstand what is coming, because you're dealing with different degrees of entities, spiritual entities. These entities inflict you with diseases. And this is why you see most of those people, they kind of go crazy because they attack their brain cells. You go to the doctor, oh, it's cancer, what do you call it, tumor in the head. Oh yeah, those are actually spirits inflicting you with those diseases. You're dealing with the prince of the power of the air. Those are not your regular demons that you just say two words and cast them out. Those are different levels. So if you don't have a proper leadership when it comes down to prayer to teach you or to educate you, you have to be careful of what you're getting into. You don't just go declare war. If you're not a watcher, don't go declare war on territories. Don't go praying 3 o'clock at night, certain hours at night. You took up arms against them. So in this hour, revival prayers, you can pray revival prayers like Psalms 91. You're praying against all those chains. You're gonna break those chains. You're gonna break all those sickness. You pray against those things. Revival power. Revival prayers. You pray at those hours because you're going to war against the kingdom of darkness. There's a whole different level of entities, not your regular demons. You're dealing with spiritual wickedness in high places, thrones, kingdoms, territories. Your regular prayers you can pray at twilight, like twilight in the evening and twilight at the breaking of dawn. That helps you to go about your daily businesses and protection and so forth. The third hour, the sixth hour, the ninth hour, you can pray your regular prayers. You can send your thanksgiving and so forth. No, the source of power. There's one source. So dealing with the source of power can tie in with there's one source and there are many different bodies. So when you understand light, the Most High is a light, right? Now you have this one light, but it emanates all these different lights. So one source of power, but many different bodies, many different emanated lights. So whether it be healing, healing is one attribute of the same power. Now, you can have the power or the authority to pray and heal someone, but you might not have the power and authority to pray and open up someone's eyes for revelations, comprehension, mysteries. But another person might have that ability. So this is why you cannot envy another person's spiritual powers, because that's how it works. This is given unto you due to your works, or your experience with wisdom and so forth. This is given to another person, but you're all serving the one purpose. These people are given to you. The sick, if you have the spirit of healing upon you, then the sick is given into your hand, under your charge. That is what it means to have a gift. It's a charge given unto you. So go forth and heal these people. You need to pray for the Most High to open the eyes of these people. Like Elisha prayed, and the servant eyes were open. Now he could see what dimensions. He could see the angels of the Most High, the host of his armies. Another person's charges tongue. Tongue meaning you speak all those mysteries, because when you go from Genesis to Malachi, all these people were doing what? Prophesying. Prophesying is a form of speaking in tongues, meaning that you don't understand it until it is manifested. So as wise as Daniel was, even when the Most High was showing him visions and explaining to him, he couldn't understand because the meaning would be understood at a later time. So for us who understood the manifestation of what Daniel saw in the vision, now it's easy for us to say, okay, that was what Daniel was seeing in the visions. So prophecies were meant to be understood when they are manifested. So all of those prophets that came before, speaking of things to come, they were speaking in tongue because no one understood what they meant. No interpretation. This is given to you to do what? Understand the mysteries that those people were speaking about. So this is why the Messiah could come and say, okay, this was what was meant when Moses said such and such. This was what was meant when Isaiah said such and such. He's interpreting the mysteries of what they were speaking. Paul comes and expound on a lot of things that the prophets of old said. John explained a lot of the things. So that's interpretation, because tongue is a form of mystery. You're prophesying. So imagine the Most High shows you a vision of something that's going to happen 500 years from now. You don't know what type of technology, so it's going to be hard for you to understand it. But the people that will be living at that time will say, oh, that was the vision of such and such. So they would interpret what you prophesied, the mystery that you were prophesying about. If it wasn't for the warp, the air, the if it wasn't for the warplanes, no, we wouldn't understand what John meant when he was talking about the scorpions and the thing, the poison, the venoms coming out of the tail, and we wouldn't understand what he was talking, because he was just describing based on what he understood, things that he knows. But how would he describe an airplane when he has never seen that thing before? But we who see airplanes, warplanes, we can understand clearly. No, manifesting prayer, or the manifestation of your prayer, is going back to the word and do what the word says. Because sometimes some of you say you're praying for a husband or a wife, you're praying for a marriage or whatever it is. Guess what? You did not go back to the word to say, okay, what is the will of the Most High in terms of getting a husband or a wife? Because guess what? Someone else is also hearing your prayers. And when they send someone to be that husband or wife for you, because you didn't go through the word to see what the will is, what is the protocol for a relationship. So the first person that comes before your eyes, you say, oh, the Most High answered their prayers. Yeah, but is it in alignment with the word? Because here's the situation, especially for empaths. This is why a lot of you get so destroyed in relationships, because you're being led by your, what you call it, your empath power or skills or whatever it's called. So you are sent to help this man or sent to help this woman. You know these people are in relationship, but because of circumstance, the relationship falling apart. But you are sent to help the man or to help the woman. No, because you were praying for a husband or a wife, you start to perceive that, oh, this is the man the Most High has for me, or this is the woman. The Most High is not gonna send you to commit adultery. So if you were going back to the word, you would understand that this is not the answering of your prayer. So we have to go back to do thy will, his will. What is his will? His will and his word is one and the same. The moment you start separating the two, you're already setting up yourself for failure. You're setting up yourself a problem. Now, the next aspect of this is we limit the powers of the Most High. Maybe because of the way things were taught to you, or whatever the reason is. But if your prayer is not being answered in a particular way, or certain things required of you, you don't believe it. For example, when you're dealing with healing, right? And you have to get a certain herb, sometimes you have to speak to the plant. You're speaking, look, the physical plant is in front of you. The physical plant is in front of you, but you're not speaking to the physical plant in that way, but you're actually speaking to the Most High by speaking to the plant. If you understand the concept, let me give you a concept. In the book of Joshua, chapter 10, notice that in the day the Most High gave them victory over the Amorites, Joshua did speak to the Most High. But what did he say? In the presence of Israel, when Joshua spoke to the Most High, what did he say? Son, and moon, stand thou still. Who did Joshua speak to? Joshua was speaking to the Most High. He was not speaking to the Amorites. He was not speaking to the Israelites. He was speaking to Yahweh. And what did he say, speaking to Yahweh? Sun and moon, stand thou still. If you receive it, you receive it. So you're speaking to the plant, you're speaking to the spirit. And with that authority, you're going to tell the plant exactly what it needs to do for you, because all of these were there to serve you, because you're supposed to have dominion over everything. A lot of you are going to all these water baptism, but the same spirit that is there possessing you, when you get up out of the water, it's still there. You have a sickness, you go to do your baptism, the sickness is still there. Because what? You do not have the courage to speak with the authority to let these things do what they're supposed to be doing for you, to manifest the power of God in your life. So you go into the water for cleansing, you're speaking with the authority of the one who has the authority to change your situation. So you speak to the waters, you speak with the intent, and through your intentions, you manifest the power of the living God. And this is why people control you through religions, because you perceive that as wrong, and then they get to charge you more money. So you want them to pray for you? No, you're gonna have to put such and such money, which you might not even be healed from what they're praying for. But because you count yourself unworthy for the powers of the Most High, then that's the result. You're being controlled by religion. Oh, the power is only given to your pastors, your priests. So let me take all my check and donate it to them, so I can have a prayer. Aren't you not joint heirs? Was the Son of God sent to this world so that only your pastors and priests have certain level of authority? This is why a lot of you are stuck in churches where every day you go and just listen to some service and pastor preaching or priest teaching or elders teaching, but where is the manifested power of God? How are you gonna sit before people reading all these scriptures declaring the power of your God, but yet you can never see the power of your God in those institutions? Open your eyes. Shalom.